His Three Daughters is a drama film about three sisters reuniting in the wake of their father's imminent passing. It's a poignant depiction of how difficult family struggles can be. Let's talk about it. This movie focuses on the relationship between Rachel, Katie, and Christina. In light of the fact that their father, Vincent, is living his last days in hospice care at home, these three sisters reunite at his apartment where they struggle with their general discoordinates while dealing with the emotional weight of losing their father. So the family dynamic is the source of this movie's conflict, but at its core, it's a story just about dread. It's about the pressure that people feel dealing with losing somebody who's still around but could go any day. It's not really about what it is exactly that the characters are losing, it's more so about how it affects them. This is made clear by the fact that the father is surprisingly absent. The movie keeps the lens on the sisters. They're always checking in on him, and you'll see them hanging out in his doorway, but the camera never pans all the way into the room. I think this gives us, the viewers, the feeling that, hypothetically speaking, he's already dead. That way we're not too focused on him because the movie isn't about the dad. It is about the sisters, and this movie really focuses on the sibling dynamic. Katie is short-fused and very prone to obsessing over people's flaws. Rachel is the carefree rosebush with plenty of thorns sticking out. And Christina is what many would consider to be the perfect little angel of the family. Katie is probably the easiest one to dissect here, between her many empty gestures and her blatant hyperfixations on Rachel's lifestyle and flaws. She is very cynical. For example, at one point she does that thing that some people do when they're apologizing and they just cross their arms and have a blatant bitterness in their tone, making it clear that she doesn't actually care about how she made the other person feel and has an ulterior motive. The film primarily focuses on the friction between Katie and Rachel, because Rachel is a bit incompetent despite being the only one who had been living with and caring for their dad. So with Katie being somebody with very little patience and a knack for villainizing other people, she naturally incites a lot of the conflict between them. With Christina having a much more tolerable personality, she is the one that each of her sisters can handle and is sometimes the one intercepting their drama. Pretty much all of the conflict in this movie is fueled by poor communication skills. It really highlights how difficult it is to solve a problem when one or more parties is being belligerent. This movie tells us quite a lot about the history of these three sisters and their household dynamic without always explicitly telling us. Through their unique personalities, the things that they constantly bicker about, and the things that they end up confessing to each other, it gives the characters a lot of depth because it gives us a lot of material to use to piece together what their unique experiences were like growing up together. This is a very dialogue-driven movie. It mostly consists of long dialogue scenes, a lot of which are done in single static takes. Arguably too many long takes, but they set an interesting vibe. They of course make these scenes feel much more realistic, making it feel like we are right there in the room with them, listening to them ramble on. There's also no better way to flex an actor's chops than to give them long, compelling, one-take dialogue scenes. And this movie has plenty. Our three leads give great performances. It's just hard to single out single actors or moments because they were generally just really good across the board. I really like that the cast was a little bit older than what most would consider to be an argumentative age. Elizabeth Olsen was the youngest one, and I think she's like in her mid-30s. It speaks to the fact that no matter how old you get, you just never really fully outgrow family dysfunction. It can get better over time, but it usually doesn't just disappear. It's something that most people can relate to at any age. You know, you go to work and you mention that you got problems with the family, and it usually plays out like this. Oh, hey, you doing all right today? I've got some family struggles going on right now. Say no more. We have all been there. So the ending of this movie was really bold, but I'm not sure how well it tied a bow on the whole film. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I just can't help but think that it could have been handled a little bit better. It's just one of those moments where after you're sitting there scratching your chin, not really hating it, but not really loving it as much as you would have liked to. So between the characters, conflicts, long takes, and indie set design, the movie felt very natural and real, but one might argue that's not why they go to see movies. For viewers that have consistent family-related struggles, they probably won't find the escape that they might be looking for in this movie. But for anyone that can tolerate this subject matter and doesn't need big spectacle to enjoy a film, this one is definitely worth checking out. It's a very solemn and thought-provoking story about grief and healing together. I thought this one was pretty good. At the time of shooting this video, it's nearing the end of its limited theatrical release, but it's totally fine if you missed it in theaters. I think this is just fine as a Netflix watch. If you are down for a good drama film that's carried by dialogue and harsh character dynamics, this is totally worth checking out. But of course, if you are a spectacle film fan and you need to be dazzled or blown away by crazy plot revelations, this is not your movie. Thank you for watching this review. If it brought you any value at all, please give it a like. It really does help the channel grow. I'll see you later this week with my review of The Substance.